Thank you for joining us today on the Healing Us podcast. Today I am joined by Angela Teeple. She is a motivational life coach, mental health coach, a million things. She's got a new book out, which we're going to talk about, TEDx speaker. I can go on and on. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
We're so excited to have you. And, you've got so much going on. So I definitely, you're busy. So I want to start at really the heart of your passion and what, we share so many stories of hope on here, but we don't often hear from the professionals behind the scenes and people that are really working with individuals that are struggling or in the trenches or dealing with problems. So what, inspired you to get into this and kind of what's your mission?
So I was a teacher and a coach for 23 years. And then as an athlete and a kid myself, being raised through addiction and mental health, I, trudged through it. And then 2 years ago, went through some really hard times and was just like, I think I need to leave my job and do something bigger. And being in a box of a school system wasn't enough for me because teaching the educational side of it was like, this isn't my passion. People are my passion. Relationships are my passion. And letting people know that they can transform themselves through, hard work on the mental side of things and just going after what they want and taking the risk. I was like, the only way I can do that is to take the risk myself. And it was the biggest jump I ever made. And from there, I just knew three things. I knew I wanted to do something along the lines of mental health, but knew I did not want to go back to school. I wanted to eventually get to a place where I could have my own inspirational message and share it and figure out a way to weed out the hurting anybody's feelings, but associating with everybody that has gone through what I've gone through and help them. And then it was, all right, let's see what that looks like. And that's when I started the nonprofit, All In Athletes. And then that was when I was like, through starting that, my mental health spiraled more. And that's when I was.
Well, anyone who knows how to run a nonprofit knows that it's not for the faint of heart.
No. And it was like this addiction my family had addiction to substances and I had it to achieving.
Yeah. And work.
Work. And then I stopped and was in a hospital. I had a panic attack. And when I was in the hospital, I saw that I could help anybody. And I just started to use certain principles that I learned as a teacher through my life. And then I was like, I'm writing a book, starting a podcast, and I'm going to be on TEDx. I'm going to dive all in.
Yeah.
And then I did.
All in athletes.
Oh, I did it all. It was the best. I mean, as I say in my TED Talk, not everybody can say that their time in a psych board was transformational and a vacation, but it was for me.
That's good though. So, and that, I think sometimes taking that pause in life and that break, it's like, wow, I can't do this anymore and I need to transform it. Yeah. So All In Athletes you're still running that organization.
Yes.
Right. And it focuses primarily on adolescents.
So middle school, high school.
Okay.
And the programs we are hoping to develop as we, get off the ground, how hard that is we want to focus on their mental fitness skills. But tangible ones, like getting them involved in the community, becoming ambassadors themselves to spread our message. I would like to go in and run programs on different ways they could handle the stress of being an athlete and a student and coach the coaches on how to maybe use visualization, meditation, different practices, reflection, all the things you kind of do learn in the mental health space that should be done because when you're done being an athlete, the world's even harder. So I find a big need for it. And then on the flip side of that, you're helping your mental health. So, it's like spreading mental health awareness through these tangible ways.
I almost feel like it'd be a perfect program for a student athlete senior year to college. That transitional period of all right, you're going into the real world and there will in the next 4 years come a time where this athletic persona and who you've become over the last 4 years is going to have to end and you're going to have to join the workforce and all that, right? If you're not professional.
Yeah.
So it's such a great program. And, you also do mental health coaching on the side. What does that look like? If somebody calls you and they're like, I'm struggling with this.
So a lot of it is almost I want to take the risk to go after this, or I'm struggling. I work with athletes and they're struggling with time management. They're struggling with stress from their parents. They're struggling with pressure. They're struggling with what's next. the parents I work with, they are struggling with how to manage a teenager and where the push and pull is. And, and then like adults that I work with is, like I am not motivated to do anything in my life, and I need strategies to do something with my life because I'm unhappy.
Yeah. To clarify, there's a distinct difference between a clinical therapist
Yes.
and what you do.
Yes.
And a clinical therapist, correct me if I'm wrong, is somebody who's has the tool set and the education to really guide someone through deeper rooted issues.
Yes.
You are essentially, your role is to inspire, give tools, listen, but also effectively encourage, right?
Like kind of ignite change. Like I like to say, I ignite, inspire, and connect. Show them the power of forming connections. Like something is like maybe there's a relationship that you need mended that's bringing you down, like definitely that level. And then if it gets deeper than that, and I think just my experience with, jumping into what I'm doing now and then life has taught me, like when I know I can see that somebody needs more help, like when is it time to go see a clinical psychologist and maybe get on medication, and maybe that'll give you the push you need to take these steps that you're not able to take.
Do you find like you can tell when there's a distinct need for clinical intervention?
Yes.
When you're like, this is too far out what I can help you with?
Yes.
It's like that obvious.
Yeah. Because I think being in counseling since I've been 13 and going through so much, I can kind of like, I definitely have a knack for it. It's like definitely like I think this needs to go on another level, like definitely. And then it's like we work together, and they need both, because some people need that, but then they also need the day to day or the week to week, like saying, okay, well, what'd you get done today? How did that work? How was therapy? What did you learn? And teach them those communicative skills that people struggle with.
Yeah, it's almost like you're like a peer mental health support guide,
Exactly.
which I think is always a missing component in clinical treatment. That's why we have both at Healing Us. We have the peer nonprofit. We also have the clinical.
Yeah.
Because people need that clinical toolkit and support, but they also need to hear the real stuff,
thing.
Right?
Yeah.
They need to hear people being like, you got to do this, this, this.
Yeah, that's
Get
amazing
off your butt.
You have that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I know that I wasn't meant to be a clinical psychologist because I'm a good listener, but I'm like, okay, come on, let's go. Let's do this.
You can't deal with the red tape. I couldn't either. Like I was like, I could not be a therapist because I would want to be like, get off your ass, let's go. Like it's motivational, but you need both.
You do need both.
Yeah.
So I'm loving it and hope to grow that part once
Awesome.
I like just. I mean, the social media aspect of growing a business.
There's a lot to it,
The confidence to get yourself out there constantly is like kind of where I'm at. But like, so
and
I
you
just
did
take
your
referral.
first TED Talk.
I
So was that a massive like life goal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Massive.
Congratulations.
Dream. Yeah. I was like so scared to share my story. And now it goes on the World Wide Web.
It's wonderful.
Mainly because I don't want to hurt people's feelings in my life.
Yeah.
But the reality is that built me. And I feel like some people need to hear that you're going to go through hard stuff and you can still come out on top.
Yeah.
And if no one's going to share that story, which people are more and more with the power of the internet, I think people need to know, like, this isn't easy.
No.
Like, like nothing's easy, but you can get through it. Like, especially kids. I'm happy to be able to share that message, to identify. And I think the big thing, like with even drugs, is like, if we don't identify those issues, like luckily for me, I didn't choose that. Drugs, my whole family did. But we have the same issues. I just chose a different, route. And now they're all dealing with their issues more and more and seeing it. So that's kind of cool. Because if you don't, then you're going to numb your pain. And, it's,
and that spiral
that spiral, and it's a coping skill. And you take that and that's a mission for me. Like, that is watching my family go through that. My sister, like, I just am like, how can I get these kids at that age to just be like, all right, here's another strategy. Like, here's a person in your corner. Or, do you know how to have relationships?
Yeah.
Do you know how to communicate? Do you know how
Those
the power?
don't. We're never taught that.
No.
We sit through 12 years of school. We're never taught to communicate.
That.
It's ridiculous.
And the power of community. Like, how hard is it, a nonprofit, but that power of community that you guys built.
It's huge. It's what keeps people long term.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the communication aspect, like I remember as a kid, my mom used to make me make all my phone calls. Like that was, and I hated it. But
Yep.
she'd be like, you're going to call your doctor and book your appointment.
Yeah.
And I despised it.
Yeah.
But later down the road, when I'm looking for interns or I'm trying to hire recent grads, they can't make a phone call. They just want to email or text. Mm-hmm. I hear them on the phone. I'm like, what? They're like, I'm too scared. I don't want to talk to people. I'm like, what in the world? And it's like that anxiety, forget it.
That's real.
It's real.
It's real. So that's what we want to do as All In Athletes is be like, okay, here's the platform for that. We're going to help you. Like here's opportunities. Like here's the nonprofits around the area. How can we get you involved?
Yeah.
Because that's the skill they need. Because at the end of the day, when they're doing that, they're mentally healthier.
Right.
So that's the awareness.
That's where,
that's
so if a parent's like listening and they're like, okay, I have a teenager and I need a coach for them. I don't know how to point them in the right direction. They don't listen to me, which they often don't. I don't know how to find the right resources. Is that where you come in?
Yeah. That's where I would come in, and then that's where it would be like, here's the difference between you hiring me. I mean, obviously, I'm not, through insurance. I don't charge a lot of money just because I'm not very good with money. So I don't care. Project. It's a passion project. And tell them the difference between the two, what I will be able to do differently. There will be a workbook. There will be assignments. There will be check-ins. There'll be ways for them to spread their message and then enjoy their own message, so that's like the big difference. Cool. is that kind of like, if you want to get in shape, you go to a gym and you hire a personal trainer.
Right.
If you want your coping skills to be better and you want to set up a routine, maybe the teenager is really bad at getting up in the morning, setting out the routine. Mom is always picking up the pieces. Well, now it's time for your kid to learn that.
Yeah.
So here's where I come in, because they're not going to listen to you.
Right. I think that's a perfect summary.
Yeah.
Right? And that puts it in a relatable perspective. So your book.
Yeah.
It's Rise Up, Soar Above Life's Storms. What is this about? What's the inspiration behind it?
Always wanted to write a book. Again, another bucket list item. When I got out of the hospital a year ago, when I was in there, my grandparents had raised me, and they died of COVID a week apart in 2021.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Awful.
And so I spoke at their funeral. That's when I first realized I loved speaking in front of people. And then fast forward, took that risk, started doing a little bit of this stuff. And when I was in the hospital and I woke up in a psych ward, I was devastated. So I knew to get on my hands and knees and pray my grandfather's favorite verse, which is soar high on wings like eagles.
Wow.
And I actually went into the hospital with an eagle shirt. And at the same time of me praying, the nurse came in and she's like, here, you can put your clothes back on now, because I had a severe concussion because of self-harm. And I put the shirt on and I walked out and was like, all right, this is where I'm at. That's Sunday when I got out. I went to church and the pastor was preaching on that same sermon.
Wow.
And that same verse. And then I was like, Pop, I'm ready. So I took all my journals from when I was in there and through the 2 years and just was like, I'm going to map this out, figure it out.
That's awesome.
It was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life.
That's incredible. Yeah. And I'm so sorry about your grandparents, and what a series of signs.
Yes, it was. It was like, this is the legacy. Let's go, Ange.
This is what we got to do.
Yeah.
So this is essentially a collection of your journals during your transformative experience in the hospital and going through your own journey. Wow. That's really powerful.
Some advice. I tie it all into storms, using the metaphor of we all go through life storms. So some of the chapters are your storm chasers. So having that tribe of people. Chapters are seeing beyond the horizon and the people, the environments you should be in that help you grow, and just add different things. It's cute. It's very short.
Yeah, no, I love it though, but it's beautiful and it's a starting point, and it's exciting, and it's a real book.
Yeah.
So,
it is.
You did it.
I did it.
You did it. And you did the TEDx all in a short period of time.
I'm tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
that's
really.
A lot
now
of
I'm ready.
Ready to go. You're fired up. What is your long-term goal and mission for for just you, what you're trying to build?
So I would hope with the nonprofit, I would hope that I'd like to stay as just the founder. I have some really good people around me that would be the board members, and then I'd like to eventually raise enough money to hire an executive director. My strength is not organization. My strength is not I'm a dreamer. I'm like the passion project person. Like, here's my ideas. Somebody help me. So with that, I would love to try to get into as many schools and create programs where the coaches can coach the athletes on these specific things, and then take the ambassador program. We have like 75 ambassadors in 6 months that are just in their schools. When I give them a task, they go do it. They take social media content and they feel really good about themselves.
That's
so
awesome.
I would like to grow that. Like, it's like having when I left coaching, I missed it. Now it's like having my own team.
What did you coach?
I coached field hockey and lacrosse.
Oh, very
I was a
cool.
hockey player. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah. So that mission is on that end. And then for me, I would love to, become a speaker that is able to spread my story and hold events to like women empowerment events. I would love to hold like workshops myself and talk about things like how to be a child of, an addict and strategies and the personal piece. Like I want to add the personal piece in any way I can. And so that would be just like letting that ride and going into schools to talk to teachers about how important their role is and not to lose sight of why they're teachers. That's a huge mission of mine.
Which is
as well.
incredibly challenging.
It's very challenging because that environment is very toxic and I feel bad for them too. So so just see how long it takes me because I never feel like I'm working. It never feels like I'm working. So I'm just like, where is this going to go? What is this going to do?
Yeah, because but that's what happens, I think, when you're so passionate about what you do. What is, like if you had to give words of advice, just a short encouragement to somebody that's maybe stuck in a rut. It doesn't have to be somebody struggling with addiction. They're just, maybe they're a fully functioning person. They just feel like their life is stagnant. What would you say?
I would say identify your reason to rise up. What is it like, and what do you want out of that? And that you have to keep going. You have to keep going one day at a time, and it's never perfect. And some days you take 2 steps forward, and it's okay to take 2 steps back and to pause and to pivot, because that to me is true resilience. I learned that the hard way, which was great. It's a good way now. And so, I would say like my big thing is rise up. Like, like you can do it. You can do it.
I think too, when you're somebody who has an awakening, what you realize on the other side, and you could be a testament to that, when you realize on the other side of the awakening, once you hit those goals and those dreams, there's 50 more you want to hit, right? Because now you're like, oh, I can do that. Anything I set my mind to, I can accomplish. So like, what else do I want to do?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, you just did your book. You did TEDx. Now you're like, oh, I didn't think I'd hit those 2. So here we go.
And it's giving yourself grace to stumble. Like not every day is great. Like, and I'm living proof of that.
Yeah.
Like there are weekends I don't even get out of bed.
Right.
Because I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like I used to get a teacher's salary and that was really easy. And now I'm like, I'm going to hustle for the rest of my life. And I had a friend, Holly Mig from Rook Coffee. She sent me a message and she sent me the original video from, oh my God, what was his name? The rapper. And it was his first video he ever made. I wish I had my phone. And so she said, this is where he started. And now look where he is. She said, Ange, take the steps. Because I'm so nervous to like put myself out there on social media. But you have to do it. Everybody's nervous.
Yeah.
You have to start somewhere. Yeah.
And it gets easier and then it doesn't, because then you hit a point where you get bigger and then there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's always negative comments from people when you grow an audience, right? There's going to be people that don't necessarily, you're not their cup of tea. Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah.
On the internet, it's easier for people to say their, say what they're thinking. But so I think you're doing all the right stuff. It's super inspiring.
Thank you.
So glad you were able to join us
yes,
today.
This is awesome.
Where can people find you? Where can they learn about you? Where can they see you speak?
So you can follow me on Instagram. Like I have 2, obviously, because I'm the only person that starts her own business and a nonprofit at the same time. So it's at Angela Teeple, and then it's at All In Athletes. So you can follow us on both of those. And then I have a website, angeteeple.com.
Awesome.
And so that everything will be on that. And then my TEDx talk will be out Tuesday. So
that's so exciting.
Yeah, how to weather life storms, 6 mental fitness skills to rise and thrive.
Can you give us one of the skills?
Yeah, so it's all part of Rise Up. So the first one is being resilient.
Okay.
And taking the time to pause. And I is find your inner lighthouse. Yeah. So,
okay. Rise Up is the acronym.
Yeah, it's the acronym.
Oh, Inner Lighthouse. I love that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Okay. Well, we'll have to link that with the episode.
Amazing.
And
yeah. I'll send you everything.
Get that
Thank
out
you for this opportunity, and thank you for helping sponsor my podcast.
Absolutely.
And being that voice for me.
Yeah.
You gave me so much confidence that day.
Good.
And
Well,
I appreciate it.
we're happy to support, and we think you do great work with adolescents and adults, and just being inspirational. It's, you know, we're all part of the same community. It's important.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for tuning in today. And don't forget to hit subscribe and hear from all of our other amazing stories and people doing great things.
Yeah.